Well, here we are in Krakow, and I'm joined by none other than Mr. Sterling Cooper.
we meet in the weirdest places, don't we, Drew?
We absolutely do. We're sitting in a very decadent sort of cigar lounge somewhere in the depths of Krakow city centre, aren't we, man?
It's lovely. The Krakow Old Town is my first 24 hours in this city, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's got that old European charm that I like so much.
It really has. It's a really cool, like, historic place. So, obviously, Sterling Cooper really needs no introduction, but I will anyway, in case there's anybody at the back who doesn't know who he is. So, Sterling Cooper is a world-renowned former adult entertainment star, YouTuber, writer, sex expert. The list of accolades is pretty much endless, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'll take all that. I teach guys how to use their tool properly.
And by tool, he means...
Wow.
he means tool. He means tool.
I mean, love sausage. Any other word you want to use for that?
Indeed, good stuff. So we're here just to kind of shoot the breeze. We're going to smoke a cigar and we're going to talk about life and the universe and the world in general. What is quite interesting chatting to you about is the plight of young men today in 2022, going into 2023, because it seems to have hit mainstream now that guys, or let's say average guys, and we can maybe get into how we define that, are having a real problem in the dating market. Basically, they're not getting laid, and they're finding it increasingly difficult to get laid. There's an article in Psychology Today just recently that the thesis was the dating apps are allowing women to be increasingly selective, so they're just going for the top tier chads, and the guys further down the scale, as it were, are finding it increasingly hard to break in to the market, and that's why there's this increase in virginity of guys and so on and so forth. I mean, this is all kind of stuff that we've talked around in the manosphere for a long time.
It's not even necessarily the women that are proactively kind of doing it. It's literally the algorithm of the dating app itself that does it. So, okay, let's take for example, forget dating apps exist. Let's pretend we're in a universe where dating apps aren't existing, right? How is regular woman going to meet a dude who is like, over 6 feet tall, 6-pack abs, like making more than 6 figures a year income, right? A top 1% guy. How is she actually going to come across that guy?
Yeah.
On the street, in the cafe, in the shopping mall, in the whatever. It's really rare for her to ever run into that guy, ever.
Yeah.
But on a dating app, she sees all of them. Right? So prior to that dating app experience, okay, well, she's going to really have to match with a regular guy who's kind of, let's say, on her level, right?
Yeah.
Because those are the guys she's going to actually interact with more commonly in her regular life.
Yeah.
But thanks to dating apps and things, the algorithm that they use deliberately puts the more popular people in front of the more beautiful women.
Yeah.
And the average guys really don't see that much in terms of choice.
Yeah.
It's just the way the algorithm works.
Yeah.
And it's an algorithm, I think it's based upon, like, it's called an ELO score. It's based upon the chess ranking algorithms.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
I believe if you look into it, it's called the ELO score. That's what they use to rank people in chess. So it applies a very similar metric to try to match someone up against someone who's of their own caliber.
Yeah.
But the average guy, if he's sitting there in his profile holding like a dead fish, like,
what is this fish thing?
In a bintang singlet. Yeah. Okay, where I'm from, that's in Western Australia, that's the typical dude's dating app profile. It's him in a bintang singlet, wearing some pluggers, holding a dead fish.
Yeah, I mean, I've never actually taken a picture of myself in a singlet holding a fish, but I might.
For the record,
I might get onto it though, because it seems to be a big thing. But so yeah, I mean, basically, is it true then? Is the CHAD-POCALYPSE upon us?
CHAD-POCALYPSE? Is that what you're calling it?
I don't know. I think the CHAD-POCALYPSE is basically, unless you're Sterling Cooper or Justin Waller, basically you're not going to get laid ever again. Is that true?
Look, okay, I'll tell you something totally honest. And me and Justin, we live in Miami. Miami's one of the most competitive cities on the planet for this kind of thing, right? And I'll blatantly tell you, and Justin will blatantly tell you this, that we can get our dick sucked quite easily. We can find a girl and have sex with her in that city. There's not really that much of a problem, not much of a challenge. The challenge in a city like that even for guys who are on our level, is finding a girl that we want to keep.
Right. Yeah.
The challenge is finding a girl who then, after she's had our penis in her, isn't going to turn around and go on some dude's boat the next weekend.
Yeah.
That is super hard to find in those kind of big metropolitan American cities.
Yeah.
Like, the hot girls are there. Cool. It's take a little bit of solace in this fact that even for guys like us, okay, we can get our dick sucked, but it's like finding that girl that we want to actually partner down with, we actually have to go outside of those big cities. So guys who are in small town America actually have a better chance at finding a good long-term partner than guys who are in these sort of big, more popular, I think, personally, than guys who are in these big, popular party cities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, those, to be honest, it's kind of like when we do boot camps for guys. If you advertise something like Miami, or you advertised Cancun, or you advertise like Ibiza or something like that, it's going to get a lot of guys interested, because on the surface it seems like, yeah, that's great, because there's going to be all these girls in bikinis, and it's going to be...
We get a lot of practice there.
Yeah.
You got a ton of practice there.
But the problem with those places, and particularly like Miami, because obviously I've been there a few times, it's incredibly competitive, because you've got these top 1% guys there, right?
And it's not even competitive in terms of like the value of the guys, because like, think about it this way, like, there's not many dudes on the planet who are like better looking, more connected, doing like whoever. Okay, let's. I'm not trying to blow smoke on my own ass here, right? But better connected, better looking, taller, making more money, like all that combined, right? That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
But in a city like Miami, what you have is you have the competition. You actually have competition for high level simping. So you have this is what actually is happening. You have all these dudes who are like crypto dudes, right?
Yeah.
There's one example. There's one example of a niche, right, in that city. You have a whole bunch of crypto dorks with money. And I'm using that term dork kind of politely. My friends are dorks, you know. But they got a shit ton of cash and they got no game. So what do? They just invite girls out onto a boat, or they invite girls out onto a table at the nightclub. So they're spending thousands of dollars to get that woman's attention, when guys like me will get their attention. I'll take the girl out for like a glass of wine, right? And I'll seal the deal. That's totally different from what these guys are doing.
Yeah.
But to that girl, like, I'm now competing with that guy for, like, in terms of fun.
Yes.
So where I'm more likely to, like, I ain't gonna spend like my entire Saturday night at a club buying a bottle just to maybe get my dick sucked. Like, for me, it's my return on my investment is far better spent. Like, I'll take the girl out for a glass of wine and I'll get the same result, and then I'll get back to work and keep making more money. Yeah. Right. Whereas that guy is going to spend thousands of dollars to create this really fun, exciting experience on a boat or a table service party or whatever. Yeah. And he might get the result. Yeah. So we're actually competing with what I call that kind of high-level simpery.
Yes. Yes.
And that's very different from what guys like Andrew and Tristan Tate do, for example, where like because they own when they go to a club, they own the goddamn club, and when they go to the club, they bring in their girls there. Yeah. Right. And they're not bringing them there like on the presumption of come party at a table. They've already met these girls prior to that, Yeah. So it's a very different dynamic. I don't want anyone to get that confused.
Yeah, no, of course. But I mean, what we're going into now, and what you're sort of explaining very eloquently, is really the lifestyle of the sort of the top 1% dudes, which is fascinating stuff, and I want to learn more about this. But at the same time, do you think we're now entering like a 2-tier, or maybe even a 3-tier, like sexual marketplace, where you've got guys you've got the haves and the have-nots, so the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer?
Yeah, I think it's pretty accurate to say that. I think you've got a situation where you've got the women who are super stunning, right? The girls who are really the most beautiful women on the planet are literally only accessible by the top 1% of guys. Right. The average dude does not have a chance of that really anymore. However, the average guy does have a chance getting, the average woman from his small American village, or a small village in Europe somewhere. Like he does have a chance at locking down a very good girl and having her be very, very loyal to him, and loving him to death. Isn't she lovely?
We're just she is lovely. She's off camera. She's lovely, and we're just
Making sure that my drink is filled.
making sure that he's well oiled for the rest of the conversation.
Speaking of a good girl, that is a good girl right there.
High quality. Could I get sparkling, actually, please? Just so I don't want to offend. If Andrew Tate's watching, I don't want to, make it sparkling. I do agree with him on the sparkling water. I do prefer sparkling water. It's just a bit more sexy, isn't it? If you're going to drink water, why not drink one that's...
I think it's also better for you because like typically, if you actually get natural sparkling mineral water, it's got like elements. It's got magnesium, a bit of calcium. It's got a bit of nutrient in it. So it's actually got more in it than municipal still water.
Yeah.
And the bubbles help with digestion. I personally feel less bloated when I drink sparkling water than when I drink still water.
Digestion tips here from the man himself. He's coming.
It's completely irrelevant. But this is a bit of a segue. But the funniest Instagram accounts that are following me, like maybe 3-4 days ago, and it was like official sparkling water, and it was an Andrew Tate fan account, and all his posts are about sparkling water. So I hope he clips this and uses this.
Yeah, you need to. If you're not on the sparkling water tip, guys, you need to get onto it for sure. But getting back to the dating marketplace and stuff, I mean, obviously you help guys. It seems to me, look at your content. A lot of your stuff is about sex. It's about how to be better in bed. It's about, you've got the book about how to, grow your penis and so on and so forth. And as befitting a former adult star, right? But presumably you get guys coming to you and asking about game, or they're asking about, how do I get dates? How do I get girls in the first place? I mean, what do you say to those guys? And how do you help those guys? If he's like, look, I'm in Wyoming, I'm not, conventionally the best looking bloke in the world, what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can be I don't think that there's really that many men on the planet who are truly ugly.
Yeah.
I just think they're mostly out of shape.
Yeah.
Because if you start getting jacked, basically every dude looks good if he's fit. If he's not fat, and if he's got some muscle on him, and he dresses well, he basically is an 8. There's very, very few guys on the planet who genuinely have a fucked up face or something.
Maybe we should ask off camera the female opinion on this. Do you think that guys can... what do you think about this thing about looks with guys? How important is looks? And can a guy, if he works out and he dresses well, can that ameliorate, can that improve his market value? Or is he either a Chad or not?
Maybe it adds to, let's say, how smart he is and how well he talks to the woman. Maybe for me it's the second thing that I look at.
What, you mean his interpersonal skills?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, that's interesting. Well, that's a bit of a that's a bit of a plus point for the old game, then, isn't it? That's a bit of a poke in the eye for the black pill dudes.
That's been my argument from day one, is that like what you call black pill doomers or whatever. Like,
yeah.
These guys who say looks are all that matters. I've seen so many guys in my entire life.
That's sparkling guys.
Just for the record,
Yeah.
It's sparkling water. I've seen so many guys in my life who are like short, who are broke, who are even fat, who are ugly, who pull dimes. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it happen. Okay, the only counter argument you can make to that is, okay, this was probably before the days of like dating apps and Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Like before that was really, really a thing. So okay, maybe, but still, they did it with pure, like, being a silver-tongued devil.
Yes.
Being that charming man,
Yeah.
Because I think that's much more, like, because a really, and I actually have another great example. I know this guy back in college. He was 6'6", chiseled jaw, a doctor or a med student.
Yeah.
Like, super intelligent, not in any way, shape, or form ugly. And he was super insecure about his height. Like, it was this awkward thing for him. So he carried himself like a guy who was 5'8".
Yeah.
Like, he walked around with that kind of aura.
Right. Okay.
And women didn't really give him the time of day.
Yeah.
Because of that. Now, you give me an extra 6 inches, I'm killing it.
Where do the 6 inches go?
Either place. There's nowhere I am not getting instantly the top tier pussy. But there's, I've seen both ends of that spectrum. So for me, it's impossible for me to ever contemplate a reality in where your looks are the be-all and end-all. And I honestly think that every single person, because I know there's going to be YouTube comments in here saying, "Oh, Sterling, it's easy for you to say that because you're good looking." Man, I've got a fucking receding hairline, dickhead. Like, come on. Am I really that good looking? I mean, yeah, cool, I work out, I got chiseled jaw. My beard line is awesome. I have sexy blue eyes. So yes, I am good looking. But I have flaws. Just, I'm not perfect, and no one else is. So it's like you can always like lean into an archetype, lean into like your strengths, and capitalize on your strengths and emphasize your strengths, and try to like negate and ignore, like downplay the weaknesses, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just the game. I mean, think about it this way: like women do the exact same thing. Women do the exact same thing with their looks. They'll like, okay, if she's a bit chubby, she'll wear black to make herself look a bit thinner, right?
Yeah.
They'll wear different, types of. How many times have you seen like a fat girl wearing like emphasizing her boobs in all of her dating app and Instagram profiles? Like they play the same game, but it's just guys don't want to play the game, it seems.
Yes. Yeah. No. Exactly. No. I mean, I would.
They want to give up. They just want to give up for no reason.
Well, I would agree. And I mean, the problem is that whenever you do any video on this subject matter, like you say, there'll be a load of people in the comments underneath saying, "Look, no, it's just looks. It's all about looks. That's all that matters," and so on. And that doesn't, to me, pass the reality test, because, like you said, you go out. Now the problem is, then they'll say, "Yeah, but that's all anecdotal. You're not looking at the data, blah 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 blah, etc. etc." But the truth of the matter is that, and here's the thing, right? I believe that this still counts, even today, even in the CHAD-POCALYPSE, even in the world of Instagram and dating apps and everything else. I still believe right now you can still go and get results, even as a guy who's not absolutely 100% top tier. You can still do it, right, with personality, and part of it probably. You've talked about the small towns in America and stuff. Part of it probably, travel is such a huge thing, right? And I've spent the whole summer like traveling around Poland. Poland's got its obvious, very, very obvious charms. The dating marketplace is not the same everywhere you go, right? Not everywhere is Miami. We're not all just stuck in Miami, right?
No. I mean, here's lovely. I mean, I've been in Krakow for one day, walk around this old town square. So many lovely women out here.
Yeah.
Walk around in pairs, like just waiting for a guy to walk up to them and say hi.
Exactly.
Just waiting for it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like with them walking around with their mother.
Yeah.
And you know that she wants some. The mother wants some charming guy to
quite,
talk to her daughter.
It's quite funny because we've been out and about in Poland and sometimes approaching like a mother and daughter. And sometimes, you get like a Ukrainian mother and daughter or something, and the mother's like really keen. She's like, "Oh yeah, give the number, So yeah, I mean, it's not all dating marketplaces are born equally. That's the point. And you come to Poland, you come to go further east. It's a very different state of affairs.
Something interesting I noticed today, just by watching and observing like the old town square. And because I was in Prague before this, and I was in Budapest before that, and in Romania before that. So the last couple of weeks I've been bouncing around a few cities. Europeans have like an outdoor kind of like walking culture. Like Europeans walk through the streets.
Yeah.
European cities are very walkable cities.
Yeah.
So it kind of lends itself very much to that what you would call cold approach, right?
Yes.
Like walking up to a guy on the street.
Yeah.
Like a guy walking up to a girl on the street and like asking for a number, being charming to her, chatting her up. Like I'm sure there is plenty of Western women who've been to Italy and had that experience.
Yes.
Like American girls going to Italy. I know my sister had that exact experience.
Really?
When Australian girl
Yeah.
went to Italy. This charming Italian dude chatted her up, and he became her boyfriend for like a couple of years or whatever. Like, but that's European cities. American cities, though, they're not really that walkable. The American cities were built around cars. Everyone drives everywhere, so like, you don't really get as many opportunities, I don't think, for that kind of daytime cold approach unless you go to like a shopping mall or something like that.
Yeah.
So you kind of, and so that's probably why I think a lot of American men feel like they don't have options because they don't see them. They don't see like if I'm an average Polish guy, I can literally walk out the door and see beautiful women everywhere.
Yeah.
But the average American can't. Right? Because and even if he does go to like the mall, he's probably not seeing the hottest women there.
Yeah.
They're probably all at the club.
Yeah.
You know? So there is that. There is that. I do see that side of the argument of like, if you don't see women in your environment, then you think it's, you know, like a famine.
Yeah. Well, it's been really interesting over here, right? Because we've taught, like when I was with James Tusk over here, we spent 6 weeks. We were bouncing around different cities, and we taught groups of guys every week for the 6 weeks. Obviously, different sort of levels of ability, different levels of aesthetic attractiveness, charm, whatever. You know, all great guys, but obviously just people coming at it from different levels. And you would think, or the doomsayers would say, "Oh, well, you know, obviously the great-looking guys would get all the results, and the less good-looking guys wouldn't get results, and whatever." It doesn't really break down like that, surprisingly. You know, you'll get a guy who physically, you think, this guy looks like a Chad, or he's very, very good-looking. Is he necessarily getting supremely better results than other guys? Not really, no, because personality does play a lot into it. I don't mean personality in a Pollyanna like, oh, you've got to have a good personality, but the way that you interact.
Balls.
Yes.
Balls matters.
Yeah.
Like that boldness that a guy steps up with, that matters.
Yeah.
It really matters.
Yeah, exactly. It really, really does. And it's actually kind of interesting how the results actually sort of level out across whether the guy's like really good looking, medium, or less good looking. The results sort of even out, and a lot of it is down to just action and doing the right things. Surprisingly, you know, and even we might think it was different, because even we sometimes will get a guy on the course and you think, well, this guy's really good looking, he's going to do really well, and they end up not doing that well, and it's like it even blows our mind. It's like, what, you know? So
you're letting us down, Chad.
Yeah. It's like, where is this CHAD-POCALYPSE we've all been told about?
Well, exactly. Maybe that's you buying it. Maybe it's you guys buying into it a bit too much.
I think, well, look, I mean, I think we all buy into it to some extent, because I think that, you know, it's sort of, from a male point of view, it stands to it makes sense, doesn't it? Because you kind of think, well, you know, we like good-looking women, therefore women are going to be exactly the same. They're just going to go for the best-looking guy. And obviously women do like good-looking men. That's not in question. But there is more to it than that.
And there's even if, like, let's just play devil's advocate. Like, okay, even if we're in a situation right now where there is a CHAD-POCALYPSE or whatever you want to call it, and like, okay, only like the top blah % of dudes are getting any pussy whatsoever, and everyone else is destined to be a virgin forever, never get the dick sucked ever again, right? If that's the worst case scenario, okay, well then what would you actually do? What's your response gonna be to that situation? Worst case scenario. Well, I know what my response would be. It'd be like, okay, well, I'm gonna fucking hit the gym, work my ass off. I'm gonna make a bunch of money. I'm gonna network a bunch so I can try and have a kick-ass social circle, and I'm gonna cold approach every hot bitch I see.
Yeah.
Like, because like otherwise, it's that or nothing.
Yes.
So you might as well, even if we are wrong in our assessment, you might as well do the same thing anyway.
Yeah.
The action you take is the same.
Yeah.
It's like work on becoming charming, work on becoming competent, get more experiences so you become more well versed at the way of the world. Well, you understand people better, you understand cultures better, experiences better. Like all these things attribute and help.
Yeah. Well, Mark Manson somewhere writes that the only real dating advice is self-improvement. Right. And I think that's true in the end. I mean, yes, there are things that you can learn about intergender dynamics, how to present yourself in the best possible way, which a lot of it boils down to don't be a simp and know your own value and don't put her on a pedestal. Those are kind of the key things, really. And there is loads of stuff that you can learn, but aside from that, the basic product needs to be as good as it can possibly be, right? And we've all got to be self-improving the whole damn time, right? And also, like you said, what else are you going to do? Sit around in your room and wait to die? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, and to me, that really kind of depresses me, in a way. If I actually... I'm quite an empathetic guy. I like to think I'm very empathetic, because I can put myself in people's shoes.
Yeah.
And I can look at a guy and be like... I'll look at a guy's situation and I'll be like... And I'll also get sad. I'm like, fuck, I'd hate to be like that.
Yeah.
You know? And I'd hate to be the kind of guy who thought there is no hope whatsoever in his entire life. There's nothing he can possibly do. So all he's going to do is sit there and mope and whinge and complain and bitch about it.
Yeah.
Like, that is the most depressing reality I could possibly want to be in.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
not want to be in.
Yeah.
And so there's, in me at least, there's like a repulsion away, like a force in my soul that pushes me away from that.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
Yeah, well, it's the life force, isn't it? Really, but I mean, it's ironic, isn't it? Because you were in pornography, you're in adult entertainment, and now you're sort of doing, you're an online influencer or whatever.
Trying to help men.
Trying to help men, exactly, and helping men, not just helping men, but in a way, with both of those professions, and I'm exactly the same, right? Are we sort of, because the problem with the internet is there's loads of good that's come from the internet because it's given all this inspiration and this ability to network and all these amazing things, but also it's enabled a bunch of guys and women just to sit around and with their dicks in their hands, basically complaining about everything. And in a way, are we sort of like inadvertently sort of just contributing to that conversation, which is everyone's just sort of doing this mutual masturbation and not actually getting out there and living life, because we've only got a few decades on the planet, right?
That's it. They're not actually doing anything with life. Yeah, sitting around with their dicks in their hand, sitting around with their tits in their hand.
Clits in the hand, maybe.
Clits in the hand. Because the internet gave everyone a voice, right? It gave everybody a voice. And because it gave everyone a voice, everyone thinks that their voice is important.
Including us.
Including us.
Subscribe below.
But, look, I'd argue our voice actually is important. Because we have a positive message, we're trying to actually help people, to actually improve their life, right? Add something to the world, right? Whereas a whole bunch of other people who will get on the internet and assume their opinion matters, and it will be a very, very negative one, right? It'll be one that'll try to paint a picture of doom and gloom, which I don't really like. So one of the best pieces of advice I ever actually got was, for every hour of content you consume, like let's say you're into self-help or you're into this kind of space or whatever, you sit there with your dick in your hand or your clit in your hand and you watch lots of content. For every hour of content you watch, spend 3 hours doing something proactive. Because the real world is still around, it still exists. The real world matters. We're not in the metaverse yet.
No,
we're not plugged into a computer yet.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. We're not, and actually that's something else that I wanted to say, because it seems to me we hear a lot of this discourse online, on Twitter and everything, talking about how difficult the dating marketplace is, talking about how crap it all is and how terrible it is, and everything else. But there seems to me to be a big gap between that and my experience when I walk out the door and actually interact with real people.
Right.
It's a bit like and not just in Poland, even in the United States, even in Miami, it's a bit like, the women you're interacting with didn't get the memo. Yeah. And actually they can be very positive, very nice and very welcoming and everything like that. And it's a bit like all of this stuff that gets talked about online. If you were just in a YouTube comment section,
yes,
you'd think we're in this terrible dystopia, and actually it's not really like that.
You can choose to ignore that. You can totally choose to not read a YouTube comment again, not watch any negative videos ever again. Like, watch a couple of Troy's videos, watch a couple of my videos, get inspired, actually take action, and live in the real world. But there's a whole lot of people who choose not to do that. They make the conscious choice, because that is a choice, to not do that, to get sucked into all this negativity. Like, every single emotion you feel is a choice. That's something. I'll say that again for people who weren't paying attention. Like, if someone writes something mean in my comments section, for example, right? Actually, this is a really good example. Let's say, because I've recently started posting a bunch of stuff on Facebook, it's finally getting some traction, it's really good. And I used to think that TikTok comments were cancer. Facebook comments are even more cancerous, and it's hilarious. So, you have a choice. If I read some words on the internet, I have a choice of if someone says it calls me some, I don't know. Yeah. You're a dangerous misogynist, blah blah blah, whatever the hell. I can read that, and as those photons go into my brain, there is a moment when I have a conscious choice as to how I'm going to interpret that information. Most people would take something like that and interpret it, and that would turn into anger or, getting sad or getting upset or trying to react back to them or whatever. When I see something like that, I make a conscious choice, and the choice is, this is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I just sit there and laugh at it all day. Because if I see a person, if someone is going to sit there and make an angry comment on a Facebook post, I see a person who has nothing better to do with their time, and they spend that time to try and, get my attention, and I ain't going to give them my attention.
Yeah.
So I win.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But that all comes down to a conscious choice of how you view reality. And I think that's the most important thing people can take away from this is like, you have the choice. The life you want to live is literally a choice. Every day you wake up, you make that choice. Do I want to live the life that I want, the life of my own dreams, my own desires, or do I want to live the life that everyone else is telling me to live? That the mainstream narrative is kind of pushing me towards.
Yeah.
The majority of people are creating this kind of negative reality, and I'm going along with that. Or do I want my own one?
Yeah, I think you've also got to think: do I want to be somebody who's doing stuff, or do I want to be somebody who's reacting? Yes. And I think most people out there are reacting. Yep. And we were talking about Andrew Tate before, and the recent explosion in conversation around the Tates and everything that's happening. And a lot of that is haters. Let's be honest, a lot of that is haters. But those people are all reacting to him, right? He's actually doing something. And there's a lot of people who are reacting, and it's a bit like, well, which would you rather be in the end? Do you want
to be at the cause of it, or do you want the causal end or the effect end?
Yeah,
right. That's where you're going to be. You're going to be one or the other. Either you're reacting to something, or you're causing it.
Yeah. And if you're just sitting there and reacting to somebody else, that's a bit of a sad state of affairs, really.
And you know what? That's a meta lesson actually, because that plays into your interactions with women, as well. You want to be at the causal end, of emotion and of things, not the reactive end, right? You want to be leading the conversation, leading the interaction, leading like even as simple as holding her hand and leading her through the street, right? But it's also comes down to your emotional reactions. Like, you want to be the one causing more emotion than you are reacting to it. Ideally, right?
Yeah. No, completely. Yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it? And there's so many people online. There's so many people online who comment on, I mean, not just even my videos and haters and things. And you think, I mean, really, have these people got nothing better to do?
They don't have anything better to do. Sorry.
They really don't. And I mean, it's fine. Whatever people want to do for entertainment. But I just think, to bring it back to the subject in hand, which is the dating marketplace, there was a really interesting podcast. I think it was Michaela Peterson was talking to Rob Henderson, the data scientist, and they were talking about this whole date, this difficulty that guys are having with dating and everything, blah blah blah, and everything else. And he was saying one of the key things is that one of the key problems underlying all of this is that guys don't take action anymore because we're all afraid of rejection, right? This is what it comes down to. We're all afraid of and people were always afraid of rejection, right? Before the internet. But now we've got this ability to sort of hide behind the screen, and all we do is swipe on Tinder. We don't walk up and put ourselves in line, and that's just compounding the problem.
It allows us all this sort of social media and dating apps and things like this. It allows us to take actions without consequences. I can leave a nasty comment on a YouTube video and there's no physical ramification for me. If I went up to a guy in real life and said that, well, then all of a sudden he's going to punch me in the face, right? Or likewise, I can make that exact same, I can, we're all good, thank you. Or likewise, I can swipe on a girl on Tinder and I don't really face the rejection if she doesn't swipe back. I just don't see her face again. Versus me walking up to a girl on the street and saying, "You're beautiful, I'd like your number." There's a risk involved. So we've taken away that element of risk from the fundamental things that make us human.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, you've got to lean into that risk, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got to.
Yeah.
You haven't got any choice.
There's no reward without risk.
Yeah.
You can't have it.
Yeah.